One of the last things a pilot wants to worry about is contaminated fuel. Luckily, the Air Force has lab technicians that take fuel samples all along the procurement, storage, and distribution route. 3 people work in Osans' fuel lab, taking some 225 samples a month. They pull samples from bulk storage tanks, their own fuel trucks, the flow-through shelters, and fuel stands each week. Air Force regulations dictate how often samples are taken and outlines what type of tests need to be performed. The Osan lab has the ability to conduct approximately 15 different tests. Senior Airman Brian Sloan, a fuels lab technician, explains what they basically look for.
We take a sample and we run a test on it to make sure that the fuel is clean, dry, and serviceable. And what I mean by clean, dry, and serviceable is we don't want to have any particle contamination in the fuel. Dry, we don't want to have any water in our fuel. And serviceable, we want to be able to issue it, make sure it's clean.
On this particular day, Airman Sloan performed an API gravity test, a fuel system icing inhibitor test, and a flash test against a sample of JPTS, or jet propellant thermally stable fuel. The API gravity test basically tells him what type of fuel he's working with, differentiating between JPTS, JP4, and kerosene. The fuel system icing inhibitor test tells him whether any water in the fuel would ice up at high altitudes. The flash test helps him determine the temperature at which the fuel ignites. The lab also tests for water content, placing the fuel sample on a special filter and putting it under a black light. Water traces in the sample show up as glowing bright spots on the disk. While the fuels management branch has 50 or so people assigned, not everyone can work in the lab. To become lab certified, additional training at tech school is necessary. It's a highly specialized field, one that pilots rely on all the time. From Osan, I'm Sergeant J.D. Harrington, AFKN News.